morning, ladies and gentlemen. We start our 9th week today of bringing you these videos. This is our 17th video being presented to you. We're up to 467 cases, I believe, this morning. We've had a little slowdown in the last 2 or 3 days, which is a good thing. I noticed this morning that on the local news that they're lowering the estimated death count for our state and for the nation, and those are all positive signs and an indication too that probably some more things are going to be loosened up and some of the restrictions being removed or lessened as we go forward even this week. So it's really coming down to us and how we are self-disciplined as we deal with this coronavirus and the spread of it. I don't think whatever the governor might do in terms of releasing some of the restrictions and the orders that he's put in place, some businesses are never going to operate the same. My wife went over to Friendly Center this past weekend, and the store was open, would not let her in. She ordered on the sidewalk and they brought it out, took her card and paid for it. So some things are not going to change or be much different probably for a long time, if ever. But we need to do our part and continue to safe distance. And the other thing that's making a difference is wearing of the mask. That has become a trademark almost of this process and how to help reduce the incidence. So if you have a mask, or you can call the county hotline and we'll help you get one, but that's very important to this process. And the more we can do for ourselves, the more we can do for our neighbors, the quicker some of these things will be behind us. So thank you again. I also want to mention this morning, really not related to the coronavirus, but Randolph County is running behind in reporting of our census count for this year, for 2020. This is our year for doing the census. It makes a difference in funds that the county will receive. Makes a difference for our state that we probably can pick up another congressional seat as we determine our exact population. So if you've not filled out your form or you need some help, please ask and take care of that and help us out. So with that this morning, as we start this new week, another little short story for you. I think most of you would know the name of Steve Jobs, who founded the Apple Computer Company, along with his partner Steve Wozniak. And they started that business back in 1976. They first met when Jobs was still in high school. Wozniak was like a freshman or sophomore at University of California, Berkeley. And they maintained a relationship and a friendship that in 1976 they decided to, Jobs was working for Atari, the video game company, and they decided to go out on their own, just youngsters basically. What you might not know or remember, there was another gentleman by the name of Ronald Wayne. Ronald Wayne worked with Steve Jobs at Atari, and they asked him to come along with them. Now, he also was a electronic genius and had a lot of initiative, but the main thing was Jobs and Wozniak were just youngsters. They hardly was making a living. They basically were broke. They had no assets. Ronald Wayne was 42 years old. He was twice as old as Jobs and about 16 or 17 years older than Wozniak. So they invited him to sort of add some stability and some maturity to the process. As they got started, Wayne soon figured out that he was the only guy in this process who had any assets. He'd been working for 20 years and he had some assets. He had a home, he had some savings. And you realize that as the company needed to borrow money and buy materials to produce these new computers that they were designing, he was going to be on the hook for it. And so if it didn't work the way they thought it would, everything that he'd worked for this far could be lost. So after only 12 days, Ronald Wayne asked to be let go from the corporation. He wrote out his own separation notice, and in there he agreed to sell his 10% share of Apple Computers for $800. This past January, Apple Computer became the first corporation in the history of the United States to have a market value of $1 trillion. That means, had Ronald Wayne kept his 10% share of Apple, he would have had a wealth of $100 billion. He sold it for $800. Sort of adding insult to injury, later Ronald Wayne sold the contract that he signed, the original contract with his two partners, to a collector for $500. That person sold it at public auction for $1.6 million. Later, Ronald Wayne was asked, "Do you regret what you did?" And his answer, surprisingly for some probably, "I have no regrets." He said that if he had stayed with Apple and they would have grown and progressed as they did, he probably would have wound up in the file room somewhere shuffling papers for 20 years. Or he said, more than likely, he would have wound up being the richest man in the cemetery. But he said he had no regrets. Ronald Wayne never owned any product that Apple bought or Apple made until 35 years later in 2011, somebody gave him an iPad. Today, he's still alive. And he had some fairly good success as a business person after he left Apple and has lived a good life. Supported some causes and some nonprofits. And today he's 86 years old and his net worth is estimated at about $400,000. When I became aware of this little story several years ago, I did a little reading on Ronald Wayne. There's nowhere in any of this information that talks about his spiritual life or talks about any conversion or profession of faith whatsoever. But as I'm reminded of this story, scriptures do come to mind. You know, Christ said one time in teaching his disciples, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But he said, lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust cannot corrupt, and where thieves cannot break through and steal. For where a man's treasure is, there will his heart be also." A little bit later in more teachings, Christ said, "For what does it profit a man if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what would a man give in exchange for his soul?" And so we learn from this that be happy with the things that we have. Be happy for our family and for our friends. And if you and your friends and your family are fortunate enough now to not be so affected by the coronavirus, certainly from a health standpoint, be thankful for it. And let us be grateful for the life that we have. Be grateful for our churches and our pastors who love us and who pray for us. And be happy about the things that we have in life. I guess Ronald Wayne is a living example of the old adage, you can't take it with you, and money can't buy happiness. But let's be happy with the things that we have and the surroundings we had. I'm happy to have served you for these years and to bring these videos to you. And I wish you for a good week. And there'll be others to make presentations that I think you will enjoy and get information from this morning. So thank you. God bless. Have a good week.
Good morning. Susan Hayes, Randolph County Public Health. Our positive case count today is 470. Experts' understanding of how the virus spread is still very limited, but there are 4 things we know that do play a role. The first one is how close you get to folks. So please stay at least 6 feet away from others. How long you're near someone. Limit your time in close proximity to people. Whether or not a person projects viral droplets on you, so please wear a mask. And how much you touch your face. Wash your hands. We all need to do our part to slow the spread of COVID-19. Please know that Randolph County Public Health is doing all we can to deal with this crisis, but it takes all of us. We need you to take this seriously. We need you to take care of your own health. We need you to practice social distancing. We need you to wear a mask. We need you to wait at least 6 feet from others. And we need you to wash your hands. So please remember, this is serious. You need to take personal responsibility for you, your personal health, and for those around you. Please wear a mask, wait 6 feet, and wash your hands. Wear, wait, wash. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Christy McCorkadale. I'm the Emergency Management Coordinator for Randolph County. Emergency management is nothing without the partnerships and resources from around the state. We coordinate with local, state, federal, public safety, nonprofit organizations, and our elected officials. We work very closely with our area coordinator from North Carolina Emergency Management, Dave Leonard. We submit requests to the state when we are not able to find supplies locally to ensure we have the supplies and resources needed to provide reliable and safe services to all of our citizens. We work very closely with public health to ensure that everything they need, as well as information sharing between major stakeholders throughout the county. Every day in the EOC, we hold an operational briefing. This allows our division to give an update of important information and developments from the day before. Emergency management is responsible and for keeping and submitting a daily situational report that we submit to the North Carolina Emergency Management. The information that we share with the state Emergency Management Division makes its way all the way to the governor. This information is very important for them to make decisions based on information from each and every county throughout the state. The personal protective equipment that we have collected have gone to many different agencies across our county: fire departments, EMS, daycare centers, nursing facilities, doctor's offices, and even Randolph Health. Randolph County Emergency Management has procured thousands of face masks of all kinds, gloves, face shields, thermometers, and cleaning supplies. They've been delivered directly to us from the state. We are responsible for picking those items up and making sure that they're delivered in a timely manner to the agencies that are requiring them. With the help of Randolph County Fire Marshal's Office, we have delivered to almost everyone that has needed supplies. Our feeding coordinator is working very hard to ensure an open flow of communication between us and our food pantries around the county. Currently, our nonprofit organizations, churches, schools, and food pantries are supplying more than 76,000 meals a week. These organizations rely solely on donations from our public entities. Even though we are diligently working on COVID-19, we are also facing the upcoming hurricane season. Now is the time to review your hurricane plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Darrell Fry and Public Health Director Susan Hayes, for your comments and your updates on the coronavirus and its impact to our Randolph County community. And thank you, Christy McCorkadale, Emergency Services staff, who you met earlier today. Her role in the EDC coordination of supplies to our county from around the state is just tremendous, and is part of what goes on behind me in the Emergency Operations Center. Christy represents some of the dedicated county professionals that are providing the coordination and the expertise during this challenging time in our county's history. Up-to-date information in a time of crisis can be a citizen's most valuable resource. As of today, Randolph County's produced 17 videos designed to provide you with up-to-date information on the status of the coronavirus pandemic. To date, these YouTube videos have generated almost 21,000 views, and this is not counting shares, and we sincerely thank you for that. Our next video will be this Thursday, May the 21st, and they're usually posted on the Randolph County website around 1 p.m. Thank all of you again for spending time with us today, and please stay safe as we continue to face these challenges together as a Randolph County community.